Hey everybody, welcome back to the Dungeon Dive. Daniel here. I hope you are doing well, and if you're not, I hope you are soon. Okay, today's topic of the Dungeon Dive Hobbycast is going to be how to make good recommendations. This is something that I've been wanting to discuss for some time, so I'm glad I have the opportunity to do that in this kind of podcast form. I get a lot of requests for recommendations on the Dungeon Dive on various videos, and I see tons of requests for recommendations coming in on the various board game Facebook groups that I participate in, or other forums like on Reddit or Board Game Geek. And more often than not, like a lot more often than not, the recommendations I see people giving are really bad, like just terrible. Comically so. It seems to me that most of the time, people just recommend their favorite game or the game that they're currently championing at the moment, with very, very little to regard to what the person is actually asking for, what the person is actually looking for. I try to make meaningful recommendations, and I encourage others to do so as well. So I thought I'd touch upon that subject in today's episode, and it's going to be kind of a quick one. And here are 5 ways to make better game recommendations. Okay, so let's say the person asks for a recommendation. The first thing you should do is ask questions. Ask the person follow-up questions to get to the heart of what they are really asking for. Sometimes you might see somebody asking for, I want more games that are like Rogue Dungeon. Okay, so what is it about Rogue Dungeon that you actually like? Is it the small table space that it takes up? Is it the one and done, the zero to hero quality of the game? Is it the card play, the card system? Is it the fact that it's like a little indie game? There are a lot of elements that go into the various things that people like when they say they like a game and when they say they want other games like it. So it's very important to get to the heart of the question so you can make a good recommendation. All too often, I see just outlandish recommendations. I've literally seen people, ask for, I want something that's like a quick and easy to set up, and people will seriously recommend something like Dungeon Crusade. Okay, a game that takes like 15 hours to play and 2 hours to set up, and then I'll be like, why are you recommending Dungeon Crusade to somebody who says they want something quick and easy to set up? And they said, well, you could just keep it set up on the table and just play it in little bite-sized chunks. But that's not what the person was asking. I've seen people ask for entry-level games, and they want maybe another game like Hero Quest, and somebody will mention Dungeon Universalis, a game that has like a 120-page rulebook that is nothing like Hero Quest in terms of depth. And so it's really important to ask questions from the person, so you can make quality recommendations. Number 2 is a follow-up to that, and that is listen to the answers. Listen to what the person is actually asking for and tailor your answers to those answers. A lot of times people who are asking for recommendations may be, newer to the hobby. And so they are looking for recommendations from people who are more experienced in the hobby. And people who are asking for recommendations, since they might be newer to the hobby, maybe don't know the terminology right. Maybe they're a little unfamiliar with what they are actually looking for. And so it might be hard for them to describe what it is they are actually wanting recommended. And so it's important for people, as we get more experience, as we play more games, as we learn more terminology and how to discuss games, it's important to listen to the answers that the people give us so we can make better recommendations. Number 3, you don't have to like the game you recommend. And this is a /, don't just recommend your favorite game. All too often, I see people just recommending the same game over and over again, and it's always like their favorite game. Sometimes I might want to recommend to somebody that, hey, you know what? You might like Gloomhaven. You might like Madara. You might like Hero Quest. Those 3 games, those are all games that I really don't care for. Hero Quest is okay, but on the last episode, I talked about my brief negative reviews for things like Gloomhaven and Madara. But I don't mind recommending those games because those might be the perfect game that somebody is looking for. Somebody who's looking for something that is tactical, that has a ton of choice, and it can be difficult, and maybe has a little bit of a Euro element to it. I'm not going to recommend them my favorite game. I'm not going to recommend them Secrets of the Lost Tomb. Okay, they will probably hate that game because it's like 90% luck and you're just rolling handfuls of dice. It's a totally wild and crazy game, but that's the kind of thing I like. That person might love Gloomhaven, and so I have no problems recommending a game that is not for me because it might be for them. And I will gather that information by asking questions and by listening to the answers and by knowing that it's okay for other people to like other things that you don't like. And this is a follow-up to number 3 is let the person know your experience with the game. Let them know if you're vouching for the game and why. If it's a game that you haven't played, but maybe you think, I've read about this game and it kind of sounds like maybe you might like it. Tell the person that. So, hey, maybe look into this game. I can't personally vouch for it because I haven't played it, but from videos I've seen or forum posts I've read or the Kickstarter coverage that I've seen, it looks like something that you might be into. Maybe also let the person know your overall experience with the game that you are recommending so they know where you are coming from. I think that's a really important, it adds some context to your recommendation, and it makes the person asking for the recommendation just feel a little like they're in good hands. That's an important quality to create here. And number 5, this probably should have been at number 1, but number 5 is take your time with a recommendation. Don't just fire off the first thing that comes to your mind. A lot of times, especially in the Facebook groups, the various board game groups I'm at, I'll see somebody make a recommendation, and within minutes, like a couple minutes, there are like 20 different answers, 40 different answers, and there's no consensus. Every single person is simply just firing off really quick, recommending either like the game they have on the table right now or the game that they love, their favorite game. And you can just tell that like no thought was given to that answer because of how quickly the answer came. Now, sometimes the right perfect recommendation is like boom, it's like lightning. Like, yep, okay, this is the exact game you want. Somebody says, I'm looking for a game that's like Indiana Jones, where you're going into temples and you're collecting lots of crazy loot and the rules are kind of convoluted and you roll a bunch of dice. Okay, boom, yes. Secrets of the Lost Tomb. There you go. That took me no thought to arrive at that answer, but very, very rarely are the requests for recommendations that specific. So yeah, I want to encourage people to give good recommendations. It's a very important part of the hobby. It is a good way to help grow the hobby, to help bring new people into the hobby. Because if you make better recommendations, those people are more apt to stay within the hobby, and they will be armed with more knowledge where they can go out and start exploring the things that they like, and then they too can start making better recommendations. And that is part of creating this culture of good things rising to the top, because as people discover the things they like, more of those things will be made, more of those things will be recommended, and everybody kind of wins with good recommendations. So the 5 ways, real quick: ask questions, listen to the answers. You don't have to like the game you recommend / don't just recommend your favorite game. Let the person know if you're vouching for the game / let them know your experience with the game. And finally, take your time. If you do those 5 things, you will make good recommendations. So, all right, guys. Well, hope you enjoyed this topic. We'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.